I'm in both now.
Everyone did a great job.
Well, I never feel so much winning in my life. I literally answered like 4 questions. We did it.
I'm assuming we're waiting for Celine because I believe is about to start.
Mm-hmm. It's actually starting. I didn't know if we could just show it live.
I love her pearls.
I can't see nothing.
Chucks and pearls. Chucks and pearls.
Brother Matt, I told you to take that off. It's not appropriate, sir. Take that picture down, please.
Seems like Miss Brown getting inaugurated. She in a red jacket like she a Republican.
All right, don't do her, England.
It's over, England. Get with the program, buddy.
Patriotic over here.
Right.
Miss Rhodes and Miss Brown is an undercover Republican.
I'm voting Lakeeba Brown 2024. Lakeeba Brown 2024.
All right.
Bye.
All right, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Wait, what you say? Somebody told me?
Yeah, Mr. England, I don't think that says that's a MAGA, that's
What?
Mr. Womack, Mr. Eggleston, would you please join us on the Zoom link?
oh, okay.
Okay, gotcha.
Mr. Anglin and Mr. Womack only.
Hey, Ma.
Hey.
I can't hear you.
My bad. Hey. Who was that saying hey to me? I couldn't see.
Now, folks, if you be kind enough, you can join us live in this discussion that you're gonna have on the join us Zoom link.
What's that discussion on?
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, okay. I got
Mr. Anglin and Mr. Womack only.
Hey, Mom.
Hey.
I can't hear you.
My bad. Hey. Who was
All
that?
right, folks, now please click on this link and join us. You can join us
Click on the link.
you have on the
Dr. Celine, it's too much feedback if we stay in both rooms. It's
There's a link in the chat.
too much going on.
There's a link in the chat that he put up.
Everyone to go to the link in the chat or just those two?
In the chat,
Did everybody mute except the person that speaks?
No, just those two. Just those two boys. Just those two.
Friday is right. Everybody need to mute their mic. Friday is right.
Dr. Salim, can you mute the whole group? Dr. Salim, can you mute the whole group?
the mic, Nicole.
Can you mute the whole group? Dr. Salim, can you mute the whole group?
I think Dr. Salim put in the chat, join us live. There's a link. You can go on to it. In the chat, there's a link.
Only those two specific persons he said, Grouse, was Walmart and England.
No.
Okay, thanks for letting me know that because I couldn't hear him. Thank you.
No problem.
The link that is in the chat is for everyone. The link that is in the chat is for everyone.
Thank you, my brother Montague. That's what I thought I heard.
Now stand corrected.
Yeah.
So everyone, am I right?
Yeah, everyone should be clicking on that YouTube link.
That is a link.
Okay, Bill. Don't worry about it, buddy. No problem.
No,
Everyone still keep their muted mics on, please.
the link that
Thank
the link
you.
that is in the chat is for everyone. The link that is in the chat is for everyone.
Thank you, my brother Montague. That's what I thought I heard.
Now stand corrected. So everyone, am I right?
Yeah, everyone should be clicking on that YouTube link.
Okay.
That is a
Dr.
link.
Salim and, okay, Bill. Don't worry about it, buddy. No problem.
No,
Everyone still keep their muted mics on, please.
the link that
Thank
the link
you.
that is in the chat is for everyone. The link that is in the chat is for everyone.
Thank you, my brother Montague. That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, that's.
Now stand corrected. So everyone.
Everyone should be on that YouTube link.
Okay, Bill, don't worry about it. No problem.
The link that is in the chat is for everyone. The link that is in the chat is for everyone.
Yeah, that's
So everyone should be on that YouTube link.
Okay.
all right. Maybe does that help?
I'm not hearing nothing.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me good. So I'm hearing.
My bad. I was on the other. I have 3 different mics here, so I was on a mic that probably you couldn't hear me on this one. How are you, folks? What's
Good.
up, Steve? What's up, Shandana? What's up, brother Boswell? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now, but it seems like we have to
Hear
leave
me?
this meet. They said because they hearing us on the other meet over there.
That's what I'm saying. If you can leave the meet, that's fine. Different mics here, so I was on a mic that probably you couldn't hear me on this one. How are you, folks?
Okay, so I left the Zoom. I left the Google Meet.
That's right. And what you can do, you can also mute your YouTube link, because I know you have probably your YouTube also on.
That's
you
what
can
I'm saying.
mute YouTube.
If you can,
Yeah,
Okay, so I left the Zoom. I left the Google Meet.
Now,
and
and what you can do, you can also, Mr. Montague, we don't have your interview. You have your camera now. Now,
Hold on.
Okay, so we can start, with Mr. Womack. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay, hold on.
And I'm hoping, our audience can also hear you.
Okay, okay.
And my next guest needs no introduction. Mr. Anglin, Boswell Anglin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
And you're in the dark and you got light behind you. This is against the camera.
I don't understand what's going on, man. I don't know.
We are doing a full-fledged show here. So
he's got that.
There we go. Look at that, the bright and shiny. And my next guest needs no introduction. Mr. Anglin, Boswell Anglin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dr. Salim. How are you?
You got light behind you. This is not. You can mute your YouTube link.
I don't understand what's going on, man. I don't know.
We are doing a full-fledged show here. So there we go. Look at that, the bright and shiny. And my next guest needs no introduction. Mr. Anglin, Boswell Anglin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Dr. Salim. How are you?
You got light behind you. This is not. You mute your YouTube link. Please mute your YouTube link. We are doing a full-fledged show here. Boswell, you need to mute your YouTube link.
My YouTube is not on.
My next guest
I'm only on Zoom.
Someone has YouTube on.
Doing great, Dr. Salim. How are you?
I don't have any. Do you have your YouTube on?
I just YouTube link.
Someone has a YouTube on. Boswell, you need to mute your YouTube link.
My YouTube is not on. I'm only on Zoom.
Mr. Montague, do you have your YouTube on?
Maybe it's you, Dr. Salim.
No, but my YouTube is muted. Someone has a YouTube on. Boswell, you need to mute. My YouTube is muted. Someone has a YouTube on. Please check. Now it's gone.
Everything for me is off.
Okay, now it's off.
Yeah, everything's off for me. Okay.
Listen,
right.
I wanted to gather this elite group of political minds here to give our students and our staff a brief context of what we are watching today. It's not just another ordinary transfer of power, from one party to another, or from one administration to another. This was a mess, and you all know that this was different. And I know, because I think we all got some kind of idea where we stand in terms of our political leaning. But I'm going to start with this question to my main man, Brother Anglin. Tell us one thing: if what we saw a week or 10 days ago, on the last 2 Wednesdays ago, whatever we saw there, if that had succeeded, would we still be watching what we are watching today?
I see no reason why not.
Give me an explanation. I told you, if that had succeeded, if they had already hung Mike Pence, or if they had already done whatever they came to do, would we still be watching this inauguration today?
I don't think they were trying to hang Mike Pence.
Oh, you didn't hear that? What they were saying?
I don't watch. Me personally, I don't keep up with media because I don't like to watch media because they tell you what they want you to see, right?
This was not the media. This was personal YouTube videos.
I have to jump in immediately. Here's the problem with Trump supporters when they say things like, "I don't watch the media." That was live on television, so that's not an interpretation of what happened. These people walked from that rally with the president, walked down to the Capitol, built a gallows, hung a noose in it, and then stood in front of it on live television, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence." And then they broke into the Capitol, and it's live on television, and we're roaming through the Capitol screaming, "Where is he? We're going to hang him. We're going to string him up." So these are not distortions or media interpretations. It was on live television.
I never saw that. That's why I said I don't watch news. I never saw that. I never saw any of that.
These what we are talking about. This was the exact sentence. I'm gonna put this thing in her noggin. Noggin. I don't know what noggin is, but I think now found out later on. If you do YouTube, you'll find out what noggin is.
So what is that? What is noggin?
Noggin is head.
They were threatening, they were going to hang Mike Pence, and they were screaming that they were going to shoot Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, put it in a noggin. These were the exact words.
Oh, wow.
Could I chime in here?
Sure, Ms. Woolman.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I hope you got everything worked out.
I can hear you very well.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Montague. If you look at the video, there's a 12-minute unedited,
right,
not news commentary. This is just raw video footage of an embedded reporter. It was posted on the New Yorker's website of all the things that the people who went inside the Capitol building were saying. They said, "Oh, we should start our own government. We're gonna hang Mike Pence." They were using F-bombs, and they were cursing when they found out that Ted Cruz may actually vote to certify the election and not go along with them. There's footage saying, "Oh, we're gonna kill these MFers." I don't want to, be explicit on the chat, but you can see the unedited footage. This is not just made up footage. This is not, MSNBC or CNN or whoever spinning this footage. These are real people who went into the Capitol building with these intentions. Now, did everybody in that crowd do that? No, there was probably tens of thousands of people in the crowd. I don't know how many they said, maybe 20,000 or whatever, but there was a sizable portion of those people who wanted to charge the Capitol building. They had a goal and they had an agenda. And the problem with this is that it's the intellectual dishonesty to say, back in June, when you had Black Lives Matter protesters protesting in front of the White House, in front of the fence. Now, yeah, they did set what's that, the little portable stall or something on fire, but most of those people were peaceful. They weren't trying to storm the White House. They weren't climbing the fences. and they brought the military out on them. They brought tear gas. And there's video footage. You can see all of this. So the response to Black Lives Matter protesters was, you know, extreme and authoritarian, but the response to the Trump supporters, who were mostly, let's call it, white people, you know, they basically just let them breeze right into the Capitol building. So I think that's what the biggest issue is. I mean, so what do you think about that?
So I think, you know, I will let, you know, Mr. Anglin, you know, chime in. Go ahead, you know, Mr. Anglin, what do you see? You know, this is now, the argument basically is against the institutions of democracy itself.
Right.
Do you think that that whatever you saw was an okay response, even if it is a protest? Was this a right form of protest, or protest is something different?
Me personally, I never believe what people try to show me. Right? So even with the news or anything that's being broadcast, I'm always trying to find out the underlying factors, that what causes, what triggers this, right? So I never try to just jump to conclusion or say, oh, well, this is, the media is going to present what they want you to see, right? So my thing is, people may think that I might be a Trump supporter. To be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of politics, period. I'm a fan of raising my people to be better, right? So what we noticed, what happened there was that a bunch of privileged people, right, who has privilege, right, they've been having these privileges for years. They show you that you're an exception to that privilege. And my thing is, what are we going to do about that? You know, and me personally, I feel like we keep depending on a system to work for us that was not designed to work for us. So that's why we always see all these injustices. And we Black people, we quick to put on some march for what? For equal rights in a system that wasn't created or designed for you. I'm not with that. I'm for supporting my people. That's what I'm really about. Politics and stuff like that, I don't follow that. I could care less who's the president, because for me, they don't do nothing for me. I got to do for myself. I got to create for myself and create for others around me.
Well, no, but you say, go ahead, you know, Montague, you were saying.
Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of saying that I don't care about these things. So I would respond just specifically to a couple of things that you said. One, I think it's frankly disrespectful to say things like marching for what, when the majority of the advancements that Black people have made in this country is because of people marching. So it is not to say that marching is necessarily is the only tool or tactic that we should be using in 2020. But if we look at the history of Black people in this country, particularly during Reconstruction and civil rights, people have been marching and advancing the cause of equality for Black people, for women, for LGBTQs, for all these different marginalized people for 100 years. So that's just ahistorical and disrespectful, number one. Two, the system that we operate in needs to be drastically overhauled, but Congress is not going to change tomorrow. The way we elect the president is not going to change, or at noon when Joe Biden is sworn in. So one of the things that I have kind of crystallized, and I use this as my own personal teaching pedagogy, our responsibility as educators is to teach our students how to live in the world as it exists and to empower them to change the world into what it should be. Mm-hmm. We are constantly trying to create the world to be better, but we don't have the luxury of not operating inside the systems that exist right now, even as we are trying to change and dismantle those systems. So it's why things like the vote is so critical. And we saw that in the most recent election, particularly with what happened down in Georgia. They were able to drive out the vote in Georgia, take control of the Senate. Having control of the Senate is going to have a direct impact on the economic policies that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are able to implement. It is now then our responsibility to hold Biden and Harris accountable for the things that they said to us while they were campaigning. And if they don't do those things, to vote them out. Part of the reason why politicians, and we see this even more critically at the local level, the reason why politicians don't respond to the needs of particular constituencies is because they know those constituencies are not going to vote. That's why, and I've said this repeatedly, in the city of Newark, when I was working on campaigns in the city of Newark a few years ago, when they were trying to decide where they were going to put a new recreation center, they built a gym inside of a senior citizens building. Why? Because seniors vote and young people don't. They should have taken that money and remodeled the athletic fields at Seth Boyden on South Orange Avenue, where young people, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds go and play basketball. But 18, 19, and 20-year-olds don't vote. Those seniors voted. And so when time came to decide where to put it, they gave it to the people who put them in office. But what we have, and Barack Obama said it so eloquently, we cannot talk about how systems don't work when we've never really tried it. Even with the numbers that we saw for voting with this most recent election and both times that Obama won, Black people still only voted at about 33, 34%. If 33 or 34% of Black people voting can literally swing control of the Senate, what could we do if we all actually voted? Because we control a lot of these areas where these states are swinging. In swing states like Florida, like Ohio, like Michigan, like Wisconsin, it's in those major metropolitan areas where Black and brown people live. If we voted, those more rural areas where nobody lives would not matter, and we could take control and then implement the stuff that we want.
Yeah, I think we're going to go soon into the ceremony itself. But before I go, I just want one last question of Mr. Womack. Yes. The skepticism that Mr. Anglin has shown towards media and largely towards the government after that. Is a symbolic of the larger base of people that we talk about, whether this is a fake outrage or if it's a real outrage, we don't know. But they are fed into this thing that the government is like this, or the media is not presenting. Even if when you're seeing it live, you are willing to contradict what you're seeing with your own eyes. How would you argue with such people to show them the fact from fiction?
Well, I totally wholeheartedly agree with everything Mr. Montague said in terms of, the system kind of feeds on our apathy as African Americans, as Black people. It's always this assumption that we're not going to go out and vote and we're not going to do anything to vote that matters. And they also put up roadblocks to keep us from voting. So what I would say to Mr. England, and I'm saying this to you directly, I understand where you're coming from, but I mean, believe me, I actually sympathize with a lot of what you're saying, because, typically what, people who really don't follow politics or don't really understand what's going on with politics or really follow it, just look at it as, oh, well, it's both sides. They're basically the same. One side is trying to play us for votes, or one side is trying to, just play us off against the other. And, so you kind of throw your hands up and you'll say, well, look, I like Trump because I like his style. I like the fact that he's not a conventional politician. I like the fact that he says what's on his mind. Mm-hmm. Those things are fine. I mean, I get the appeal to that. I don't want you to think I don't understand where you're coming from. But my issue with Donald Trump is, it's like that old saying, a broken clock is still right twice a day. You may agree with Donald Trump on, the issues of, let's say, trade with China, that we've outsourced too many jobs to foreign countries, and that's hurt jobs here in the United States. That's fine if you want to agree with that. But the thing is that when you look at his consistent actions, the only thing that he seems to appeal to is a base or nascent form of racism that says that you can't trust these people over here, meaning Black, brown people, meaning whenever there's any kind, the first thing he started talking about when he talked about fraud in the election, the only counties or the only places that he was saying was fraudulent were the places that have majority Black populations. It's not like he's saying, oh, some Midwestern town that's democratically controlled was fixed or whatever, because there are those, but he didn't focus on those. He only focused on the places where Black voter turnout was high. So you have to ask yourself, where you could tell what someone's values are by what they speak passionately about. You never see Donald Trump speak passionately to issues that affect Black people. Yes, he did some, things on prison reform here and there. Yes, he did some things, just covering the surface, but he's never really done anything that works for the community. That doesn't mean that the Democrats are perfect. It doesn't mean that Joe Biden is a saint and he's going to come in and fix all of Black people's problems, but it means that you go with who's gonna work for you and who does things for you practically.
I'm telling you, we can go on
I'm sorry,
for the entire day.
Absolutely go on forever.
Okay, this is an excellent conversation, and this is the kind of conversation we need to have with people who we disagree with. But we will just cut it in the middle, and we'll come back to these kind of conversations in many more events like this. Right now, let's go to a live ceremony. Give me 1 second, and we're gonna go live to this ceremony.
Okay, now I'm not getting any audio.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything either.
Okay, it should be on just a moment.
Okay. Little tidbit. Donald Trump asked Lady Gaga to perform at his ceremony that he's having today, and she turned him down to accept the performance at the inauguration.
I mean, I imagine she didn't want to perform for a racist white supremacist who tried to destroy the country.
Can you hear this?
Yeah, we're hearing it. I'm hearing it.
I guess we should.
Can you also see?
Because they're singing the national anthem. Yes.
Can you also see Mr. Womack?
Yes.
Okay, great. Lady Gaga performing. We're getting live stream from CNN. He didn't start any foreign wars. We got 25,000 troops in Washington, D.C. alone. He didn't start any foreign war. It's only domestic war, that we started.
Yeah, Donald Trump put a new definition to bring the troops home.
That's right. To the home of the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the city of South Fulton, Georgia Fire and Rescue Department, President of the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3920, Fire Captain Andrea M. Hall, for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance.
19 minutes to the presidency, to the new presidency. Oh, 24 minutes.
I pledge allegiance.
I know, 19 minutes.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What you are all about to be part of America is a historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American, and our first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against all and
we just lost audio.
Well, I know Jello looking real good.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter. So help me God. So help me God.
Are you getting dual sound here, or is only one sound? Anyone?
No, we're good.
Oh, no, it's good now. It's good.
Okay, good. Does that make her the vice president, or she still got to wait until 12 o'clock?
She's vice president. Joe Biden's up next.
It's already, but we still have about 16 minutes left. And you know, Trump can do a lot in the, Trump can do a lot in 16 minutes.
With any luck, he'll have a stroke.
No, he can declare martial law. Right?
Trump's declaring that he's going to his golf course. That's about the only thing he's got.
Trump is in Florida. Trump is in Florida.
And so is Mr. Moody.
I don't blame him.
Remember that. And Mr. Moody is also in Florida.
Hey, see, Mr. Moody is a Trump supporter. That's right, Mr. Moody. You do the right thing, buddy. You went to go see Trump.
Looks like it. He left with him.
So, Dr. Silly, are you saying Mr. Moody secretly attended the Trump rally in Florida?
Trump not being here is a national disgrace. He's an embarrassment.
No, he's not. He's done the right thing.
He's a complete embarrassment. He's an embarrassment.
Yes.
He should have shown some respect for the office and some respect for the traditions that have held this country together. What he is doing, he's acting like a petulant child. He's an embarrassment, and he's showing a horrible example to the children of this country.
Listen, J-Lo is here, man. You know,
don't get your way. You still have to stand up. That's not what we tell our kids at the end of a game. When you lose, you still got to go over and shake the winner's hand. Yep. He's down in Florida acting like the infantile orange that he is. I will not mince words. I will not mince words with what's happened to this country over the last 4 years, and I will not tolerate any sort of apologies for his behavior. The man is a national disgrace. I'm about to stop before I start cussing.
Hey, it is what it is.
I think he did the right thing for his safety.
What safety? What
listen to the song.
To Trump.
We're gonna bring Boswell at least back on track. He has been misled, brainwashed.
I just do things to antagonize people, man. I could care less about these presidents, to be honest with you.
And we're still, I mean, we can say it, but unfortunately, it does affect. I mean, just imagine having Chris Christie in New Jersey change our take-home income as teachers.
Yes, he did.
It doesn't mean that if we don't care, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It affected our take-home. I used to take more money before than I'm taking now because of Chris Christie. So it does affect us, whether we like it or not. Right, Mr. Montague? Those of you who have been in teaching before for the last 10, 15 years,
I'm sure Montague will say yes.
Has gone down.
I know when to bow out of conversation before I get angry.
Dr. Salim, I know.
You know, right?
Yes, since I started in 2003, the take-home pay has gone down.
That's correct.
Okay. A little bit of trivia. What other president skipped the inauguration of their predecessor, of their
Two of them, I believe two of them. One was sick, I believe. And one was, he couldn't go along with him. He said, because, he wanted him to, I think it was Andrew Jackson and somebody else. He said, because, he's asking me to get on the same carriage. I can't take him in my carriage.
Andrew Johnson in 1869.
There you go.
He was actually the first president to be impeached. Also, John Quincy Adams in 1829 didn't want to take part in the inauguration of Andrew Jackson.
And look, man,
John Adams in 1801, not to be confused with John Quincy.
There you go.
John
So only it has happened. This is a third time, right?
This is the fourth time.
Fourth time, okay.
And look, man, Trump just showed me that I could run for president too. Why not?
Yes, you can.
God help us all.
Look, England would use MAGA, but it would be make England great again, not make America great.
One thing is for sure: if England becomes a president, at least he won't be evil.
That's right.
He won't be evil.
If England is elected, I really am going to Canada.
What do they say about power, Celine? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts.
Here we go.
No, it's weak-minded
So this
people.
is a time for the oath, I guess.
Yeah.
We got 11 minutes left, and
Biden take his mask off.
Yeah. So who's the person swearing them in is John Roberts, who's the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
yeah, this is Joseph Biden and his family.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear. I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute. That I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States. Office of President of the United States. And will, to the best of my ability. Will, to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. Preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. So help you God. So help me God. Congratulations, Mr. President.
Well,
okay. So it looks like they took about 10 minutes out of Trump's presidency.
Congratulations to Mr. Biden. I hope he lives the next 4 years to enjoy the presidency.
Yeah.
He's getting old.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Well, that's all right. Then we'll have Kamala Harris as the first female black president.
And you know what's going to happen then? That's y'all going to wish I run for president. Because y'all know what happened if a woman go in there and be a president. Oh boy, them bombs gonna be off.
So just so we're clear, England is not only ill-informed and not interested in politics, he's also a misogynist.
He just checked all the boxes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
So I'm not sure how it's going to play out. We still got about 9 minutes left. Who's the president now?
Biden is the president.
Biden is the president. He's sworn in.
Yeah.
No, but we got 9 minutes. Okay, so it means they took 10 minutes out of his presidency.
No, it's by
4 years out of it.
Yeah, there you go. I think the constitutional rule is by 12 o'clock of January.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
it got to be by 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
I see Pence on the side of Kamala Harris. He's sitting next to her. It makes sense. There's Sonia Sotomayor.
Listen, I'll say, and I'm not a fan of Mike Pence, but I think Mike Pence probably has tried to do something to save his soul since they were trying to lynch him.
Yeah, towards the end.
Yeah, towards the end. You know, it's a shame, and I'm be like Monica, try to refrain from cursing, but it's a damn shame that he didn't act sooner.
Mike Pence is a traitor. He's supposed to stand by his president's side, no matter what cost.
Listen, this is not, what's that Bonnie Ray song, Stand By Your Man? I mean,
Mike Pence is a moron. He should have used some of that Christianity that he's always touting and stood up for what's right. Instead, he stood by and watched the white supremacists destroy the country. And the only reason why he did it is because of antiquated ideas of Christianity that he supports. So I have no respect for Mike. I have no respect for Mike Pence either. And you get no credit for trying to do things.
Chief Justice Roberts.
Well,
President Harris.
You're muted.
Over Biden.
So we're gonna give Mike Pence credit for what, 3 days of sanity after
Right.
After 4 years of being
He supported it. Yeah.
Come on.
No, I'm just saying it's interesting that once the barbarians are at the gate for him, then,
Right,
then
exactly.
you decide to find your soul and your moral compass.
Once they broke in and tried to hang his ass, now he got opinions. Come on.
Listen, we're still going live. Don't forget that. Montague, we're still going live.
We celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause. The cause of democracy. The people.
I'm running out of something that rhymes with ducks.
And the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again
that
democracy is precious. Democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. So now, on this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I thank my predecessors of both parties for their presence here today. I thank them from the bottom of my heart. And I know the resilience of our Constitution and the strength of our nation, as does President Carter, who I spoke with last night, who cannot be with us today, but whom we salute for his lifetime in service.
Joe Biden look young though.
I've just
Younger
taken
today, or he got makeup on.
each of those patriots have taken.
I think you telling some lies right now.
You see, they got some good makeup on, or he looks young today.
He look about the same as he always looks.
But on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We're good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once in a century virus that silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
This guy's an hypocrite too.
A cry for survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat. To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity. In another January, on New Year's Day in 1863, Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. When he put pen to paper, the president said, and I quote, "If my name ever goes down into history, it'll be for this act, and my whole soul is in it." My whole soul is in it. Today, on this January day, my whole soul is in this. Bringing America together, uniting our people, uniting our nation. And I ask every American to join me in this cause. Uniting to fight the foes we face: anger, resentment and hatred, extremism, lawlessness, violence, disease, joblessness, and hopelessness. With unity, we can do great things, important things. We can right wrongs. We can put people to work in good jobs. We can teach our children in safe schools. We can overcome the deadly virus. We can reward work and rebuild the middle class and make healthcare secure for all. We can deliver racial justice, and we can make America once again the leading force for good in the world. I know speaking of unity can sound to some like a foolish fantasy these days. I know the forces that divide us are deep and they are real. But I also know they are not new. Our history has been a constant struggle between the American ideal that we're all created equal and the harsh, ugly reality that racism, nativism, fear, demonization have long torn us apart. The battle is perennial, and victory is never assured. Through Civil War, the Great Depression, World War, 9/11, through struggle, sacrifice, and setbacks, our better angels have always prevailed. In each of these moments, enough of us have come together to carry all of us forward. And we can do that now. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury. No progress, only exhausting outrage. No nation, only a state of chaos. This is our historic moment of crisis and challenge. And unity is the path forward. And we must meet this moment as the United States of America. If we do that, I guarantee you we will not fail. We have never, ever, ever, ever failed in America. We've acted together. And so today, at this time, in this place, let's start afresh, all of us. Let's begin to listen to one another again, hear one another, see one another, show respect to one another. Politics doesn't have to be a raging fire, destroying everything in its path. Every disagreement doesn't have to be a cause for total war. And we must reject the culture in which facts themselves are manipulated and even manufactured. My fellow Americans, we have to be different than this. America has to be better than this. And I believe America is so much better than this. Just look around. Here we stand in the shadow of the Capitol Dome.
Oh, did we freeze up the stream, Dr. Salim?
Yeah, looks like. Oh boy.
Maybe try another site if that one's.
Yeah, I think we
like
can.
MSNBC or something.
Let me try New York Times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Many centuries ago, St. Augustine, the saint of my church,
I've been talking that talk.
wrote that a people was a multitude.
Actually, yeah, that's better. That's
Many
better
centuries
quality
ago,
stream.
This New York Times.
St. Augustine, the saint of my church, wrote that a people was a multitude defined by the common objects of their love. Defined by the common objects of their love. What are the common objects we as Americans love that define us as Americans? I think we know. Opportunity, security, liberty, dignity, respect, honor, and yes, the truth. Recent weeks and months have taught us a painful lesson. There is truth and there are lies.
Now I'm hearing somebody else's stream in the background.
Can you
that's me,
mute
that's
yourself?
Yeah.
And each of us has a duty and a responsibility as citizens, as Americans, especially as leaders. Leaders who have pledged to honor.
Oh, now I lost you. Now I lost the audio, or I can't hear the audio.
I understand that many of my fellow Americans view the future.
It's back on?
Fear and trepidation.
Yes, I think when you mute,
I understand they worry about the
audio out.
Got it.
I understand, like my dad, they lay at bed staring to at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, can I keep my health care? Can I pay my mortgage? Thinking about their families, about what comes next. I promise you, I get it. But the answer is not to turn inward, but to retreat into competing factions, distrusting those who don't look like you, or worship the way you do, or don't get their news from the same sources you do. We must end this uncivil war that pits red against blue, rural versus urban, or rural versus urban, conservative versus liberal. We can do this if we open our soul
What do you need to say?
with a heart in our hearts, if we show a little tolerance and humility, and if we're willing to stand in the other person's shoes, as my mom would say, just for a moment, stand in their shoes. Because here's the thing about life. There's no accounting for what fate will deal you. Some days, when you need a hand. There are other days when we're called to lend a hand. That's how it has to be. That's what we do for one another. And if we are this way, our country will be stronger, more prosperous, more ready for the future. And we can still disagree. My fellow Americans, in the work ahead of us, we're going to need each other. We need all our strength to persevere through this dark winter. We're entering what may be the toughest and deadliest period of the virus. We must set aside politics and finally face this pandemic as one nation. One nation. And I promise you this, as the Bible says,
and,
endure for a night.
The actress.
Joy
What's her
cometh
name?
in the morning. We will get through this together. Together.
Say it again. I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
Look, folks.
It's Cory Booker is there with his girlfriend, the actress that's in.
Oh, okay.
What's her name? Monica.
You mean his beard?
Watching.
Yeah.
Listen. Yeah. So here's my message that goes beyond our borders.
No comment.
America has been tested.
No comment, but yeah.
I really should have took my pills today. I should have took my pills.
We'll repair our lives and engage with the world once again. Not to meet yesterday's challenges, but today's and tomorrow's.
What is her name? I can't think of her name now.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
Not merely by the example of our power, but by the
she's
power
on
of our example.
Mandalorian now.
It'll be a strong.
Text me later. I'll tell you a story about Cory Booker that'll really make you laugh.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell that story on this call.
Yeah, I heard this.
My first act.
Some things out there, but okay. All right.
Join me in the moment of silent prayer. Remember all of those who we lost in this past year to the pandemic. Those 400,000 fellow Americans, moms, dads, husbands, wives, sons, daughters, friends, neighbors, and co-workers. We'll honor them for becoming the people and the nation we know we can and should be. So I ask you, let's say a silent prayer for those who've lost their lives and those left behind, and for our country. Amen. Folks, this is a time of testing. We face an attack on our democracy and on truth, a raging virus, growing inequity, the sting of systemic racism, climate in crisis, America's role in the world. Any one of these would be enough to challenge us in profound ways. But the fact is, we face them all at once, presenting this nation with one of the gravest responsibilities we've had. Now we're going to be tested. Are we going to step up? All of us? It's time for boldness, for there is so much to do. And this is certain. I promise you, we will be judged, you and I, by how we resolve these cascading crises of our era. We will rise to the occasion is the question. Will we master this rare and difficult hour? Will we meet our obligations and pass along a new and better world to our children? I believe we must. I'm sure you do as well. I believe we will. And when we do, we'll write the next great chapter in the history of the United States of America, the American story. A story that might sound something like a song that means a lot to me. It's called American Anthem. There's one verse that stands out, at least for me, and it goes like this. The work and prayers of century have brought us to this day. What shall be our legacy? What will our children say? Let me know in my heart when my days are through. America, America, I gave my best to you. Let's us add our own work and prayers to the unfolding story of our great nation. If we do this, then when our days are through, our children and our children's children will say of us, they gave their best, they did their duty, they healed the broken land. My fellow Americans, I close the day where I began, with the sacred oath. Before God and all of you, I give you my word. I will always level with you. I will defend the Constitution. I'll defend our democracy. I'll defend America. And we'll give all of you, keep everything I do in your service thinking not of power, but of possibilities, not of personal interest, but the public good. And together we shall write an American story of hope, not fear, of unity, not division, of light, not darkness, a story of decency and dignity, love and healing, greatness and goodness. May this be the story that guides us, the story that inspires us, and the story that tells ages yet to come that we answered the call of history. We met the moment. Democracy and hope, truth and justice did not die in our watch, but thrived. That America secured liberty at home and stood once again as a beacon to the world. That is what we owe our forebears, one another, and generation to follow. So, with purpose and resolve, we turn to those tasks of our time, sustained by faith, driven by conviction, devoted to one another and the country we love with all our hearts. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, America.
Anglin, clap.
I have a question for the panel.
Yes.
Now, I attended Barack Obama's 2009. I always want to say 2008, but 2009.
Don't even bring him up. He was the worst president in U.S. history. I don't even want to hear about Obama.
Can I ask my question, Anglin, my brother? Okay. So
what's the question?
I attended the 2009 inauguration. Which inauguration do you think is historically more important? This one or Obama's?
I think Obama's first inauguration. First one.
This first one. But I mean, in terms of its relevance, is it this inauguration or Obama's inauguration?
Obama's, of course.
I would say it remains to be seen, because we really need to see what Biden and Harris are going to do. I think the challenges that this administration is facing, they're different, but they're just as significant as what Obama came into. And so, I mean, we have the advantage of looking back over. Obama has had 2 terms. So we can look at his record and, what he did do, what he didn't do, and we can evaluate it. And it's hard to separate the individual moment of his inauguration as the first person of color to be president from the entire history of what he did over that 8 years. I think Biden and Harris have the same opportunity. That they've come into power at a time where the country is facing extraordinary challenges. So I'm anxious to see if they're going to meet it with the same, certainly in the first 2 years. I mean, after the first 2 years, Obama, it was, things got different once they lost control of the Senate. But for these first 2 years, while they have the opportunity to push legislation through and to respond, and then I also think that they have come in at a time when the country is decidedly more polarized. So Biden has a unique opportunity to, if he's up to the challenge, he could just be a good president. He could just, just get us through the next 4, 8 years or whatever it is, or he could truly be, alter the course of this country and smash out these white supremacists, put some things in place around immigration, around climate change, around education reform. There are a lot of opportunities because the country is so polarized. I think there are things that he could do right now that the left would support that Obama couldn't do, because Obama came in at a time when the country was more moderate.
I think, if I may chime in here, this was primarily, if I could look at the difference between the 2 inaugurations, I would say the first one was part of the evolution. It has to evolve as a society. We were all white president before, and the society evolved, the culture evolved, and we had a black president as part of a natural evolution. This is more like a disruption, because what we saw that this was, we thought, that the democracy is stable, democracy has its foundations in our society. We just realized in just 4 meager years that just democracy is not as strong as we thought it is. in the hands of a person who is authoritarian and who can cater to the extremist sentiments of people, he can guide a whole herd of people towards the direction which is contrary to the democracy of inclusion, democracy of living with a difference of opinion. What is democracy? Democracy is with, all right, we have a different point of view, but because you are larger in numbers, so you win. Because we are lower in number, so we will wait for our turn. What he took away from us was that waiting, was that living with difference of opinion. And this inauguration is bringing us back from that extremist turn in our history to something which is more like evolution, what it was supposed to be. So back to evolution. What do you think?
There's Obama, and I think right now speaking is Chuck Grassley. I'm going to respond. Absolutely, Dr. Salim. I think you and Mr. Montague made great points. I think that for me, my experience being at the inauguration for Obama, number one, it was freezing cold that day. It was like 20 degrees. But number two, just the being there, looking back on it, I really am glad that I got the opportunity to be present, because there was kind of a feeling of like hope and optimism, and you kind of felt like, this is a new chapter. This was something new. This was a turning point for our country in a good way. Whether you want to say that you agree with everything Obama did or not, and like Mr. Montague said, look, the Democrats really only had control of both houses of Congress in the presidency for those first 2 years. So Obama wasn't able to accomplish a lot of things that I think a lot of, more liberal people and a lot of Black and brown people would have liked to see him do. Now, I mean, there's some fair criticism there too, but I definitely think that now with Biden being sworn in, it's kind of a feeling of we survived potentially losing our country, losing our way of life, the way that we've known it. Meaning that, and when I say our country, I mean all of us, all Americans, of whatever color, race, creed you are. I think that there's a real fear that if Trump had another 4 years, I think America will look nothing like the America we've known. And there's still a risk there. There's still a risk that this country could slide into authoritarianism. It could slide into, dictatorship. It can still slide into nationalism. But I think now we kind of have a chance or opportunity to pull out of it.
I guarantee you, if Trump had been reelected and we were watching his inauguration, you would not be looking at that beautiful chocolate sister up there talking.
Oh my God. Monica, you take the word out my mouth. I'm looking how amazingly beautiful this little girl is. She's a beautiful young sister.
Sister to you probably.
She is dark skinned. She has an African themed hairstyle. She is authentically Black in her presentation and in what she's doing. And this is what happens when you vote out a racist white supremacist.
Yes. Monica, did you see?
And look at the words, even her words, eloquent, such eloquence.
Yeah, actually, we're talking over.
I'm recording it on my television anyway. I'm gonna watch the whole thing later anyway.
Remember, this entire program is being recorded. It's also being broadcast live for the ATM posterity.
Right. That's a beautiful.
I think our ratings have taken a hit.
Listen.
With some of England's comments, maybe.
Hey, look, I'm here to make the ratings go up, man. You got to have somebody on Trump's side.
I made the ratings go up. It was uncensored.
But listen, if it were Trump's re-inauguration, I think you still have probably a man of color standing here. Maybe it would be Kanye West.
Hey, look, it may be me.
Maybe Ant-Man.
It may be me, man.
He got you. No, listen, he got you a couple of poster boys there. Remember that.
Listen,
he got you a couple of poster boys for show.
Let's pray for Kanye.
Ain't nothing wrong with Kanye. Kanye is a genius. All right, I want y'all to understand that Kanye West is a genius. That guy knows exactly what he's doing.
Or a genius or opportunist?
Yeah.
No, he's a genius.
Well, look, if you could sell a plain white T-shirt for what, $150, then you must be.
I'm not gonna comment on Kanye West because this is being recorded and I need to keep my job.
Yeah.
Besides, like my cup says, I'm 100% classy.
What's inside of this? That's the thing.
Classy juice.
Oh no! I made sure I'm only having juice because these sorts of moments tend to work my nerve, and the last thing I need when I'm already on edge is something other than juice.
This is called brain elixir. This is probably brain elixir.
Right now we have
you see that vision, like it's people 6 feet apart. That just looks dumb. Gosh.
Okay, so well, I don't want to talk over.
See, if that was Trump, people wouldn't be standing so far apart. People would be together. Trump bringing togetherness in America that a lot of people don't understand.
Let me ask you then, Anglin. Well, let's let the sister finish speaking. Let's see if we can get increase her value. Then I got a question to ask you. Says we're trying to keep the discussion going.
Anglin just trying to antagonize people by saying stuff that he knows is bat doodle crazy. There's only one of two things that are possible. Either Anglin's just enjoying himself by antagonizing people, or he really is this stupid.
Hey, look, man.
I'll take the first choice. I think.
All right. On a serious note, though, man, this country is really divided, though. So I'm anxious to see how Biden is going to pull this country together within the next few years that he has.
Okay.
So I'm really anticipating that. You know.
Well, let me ask you, Anglin. What about the whole issue of COVID and the way it's been handled? What do you think? How do you feel? And I mean, honestly, about the way that we've handled that as a country.
I felt like it's overrated, to be honest with you. COVID. I think this whole COVID thing is. I think it's not only a scam. I think it's designedly orchestrated to turn people into what you call it, trying to find a word, to be submissive to a cause, right? So I feel like, as I said, even with the media, they portray like different numbers. So if I would die, right, even if I die from a heart attack, they would portray that, okay, he had COVID. COVID is the cause of death. No, it's not. I just died from a heart attack. So I feel like the numbers are skewed, and I feel like I feel like Trump could have handled it better at the beginning when it first started, but I felt like life still goes on with or without COVID, and Trump had to do what is best for him and his business.
Listen, Mr. Anglin, I think I am conservative. I respect the conservative values.
Mm-hmm.
I respect all those who voted for Trump believing in the conservative values. What I also realized that this man kind of tricked them. He conned them. He could have conned even Democrats. He is of that kind of a mindset and that kind of upbringing, that he would rather, he consider himself very shrewd. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter for him. These are Republicans or Democrats. Anybody who gives him a chance, he will become their leader. He would want to become their leader. Conservative values, because he found an opening there through his extremist viewpoints. If Democrats give him the same opening, he will become a Democratic president today. I'm telling you that. This man does not believe in any values.
He
Theirs or yours.
can't become a Democratic president because statistically in this country, Republicans are disproportionately more poorly educated. And those are just facts. If you look at the red states where Republicans live, the educational systems in those states are abysmal. And I say that as someone, working where we work in Patterson, where we have our own struggles. But in those states, it is absolutely abysmal. And the other thing that often frustrates me when people talk about, what Trump does for his businesses, he is not, nor has he been for his entire life, a successful businessman. What he has been is someone who inherited a tremendous amount of money
from his father,
inherited an existing real estate empire. He did not build a real estate empire. He inherited an existing real estate empire and then proceeded to run it into the ground. And if you look at the way that he has made money over the last 25 years, it is not from construction. He has not built anything. What he has done is he has licensed his name. So in almost every case, including that hotel down in DC that he took so much credit for, he took a building that was already built. He did not build it. He took a building that was already built, remodeled it, and then put his name on it. That was not built from scratch. And all around the world where there are Trump properties, he has slapped his name on things that other people built, while he has also leveraged himself into bankruptcy 7 different times. 7 different times he has declared bankruptcy. And now what we have seen in the things that were in the New York Times, and again, this is not reporting. Now, the Times opinion of his taxes, that's slant, because the New York Times has their own opinion. But they published his tax returns. Debt is debt. The man is hundreds of millions of dollars in debt. Now, we can have an opinion about whether or not that's an appropriate way to run a business, because people leverage debt in this country all the time. That's a fact of American capitalism.
Off of debt.
Right. But what is not up for debate is the fact that he has an impossibly small actual personal revenue stream, and he's hundreds of millions of dollars in personal debt. And this is somebody that they thought was responsible enough to run the country?
And on top of that, he never kept his promises to disclose his taxes willingly himself. My thing
he's not a billionaire.
Yeah. If you've got nothing to hide, or even if you got something to hide, but not that much to hide, you don't have a problem disclosing some things. I'm not saying you got to put everything out there, but he never disclosed anything.
Yeah, I mean, of the 75 million people who voted for him, I believe a large majority, 90% of those voted for him for the values they cherished. They were not attracted by his charisma or anything like that. They valued for the things he told them he will stand for.
Right.
He did not stand. He never stood for those values,
which he doesn't even believe in.
He never believed in those things. He was in the back of your backs. The innocent 90% of those who voted for him, he was chafing. He was laughing. I conned them. I made a fool of them.
Dr. Salim, along those lines, I'll tell you a quick story. One of the guys who attended Trump University and was a early believer in it, they asked him, they said, well, how long did it take you to really realize that you have been conned? And you would think most people say, oh, like, a few months. He said it took him 6 years to realize that the whole thing was just a lie.
So isn't that that's a genius move, though? If a person could con you to believe in what they believe in, and you believe it, that's
not right. Why are we calling it genius that he successfully defrauded people? That's not genius. It's criminal.
I mean, look at that.
No, because it just shows you that people are dumb. People fall for anything.
No, but you don't want to make that kind of a genius as your leader. I mean, he's good, for some. If you want to make it a henchman, if you want to, just take some benefit out of him, but you don't make him a leader of your nation, of your values.
And I don't think it's that people are dumb. I think that, literally for generations in this country, people have been hurting. And when someone comes along, if they package it right and they sell it right and make you think this is going to be the thing that is going to bring you out of whatever situation you're in, poverty, financial woes, whatever it is. and I say this to somebody because before I started teaching, I worked in the mortgage industry for 13 years and largely in the refinance market and in the subprime market. And people would come in to apply for those mortgages when they were in desperate situations. And somebody had told them that a refinance was the way to get them out of it. And part of the reason why the subprime bubble burst is because we did a lot of, not we, I don't mean me, I mean the industry did a lot of mortgages selling people that this was going to be the thing that was going to get them out of a desperate situation. So if you're someone in those instances, if you have medical bills that are out of control because you have a spouse who is battling some sort of medical emergency or something has happened, any sort of financial crisis has arisen and someone has told you that this refinance or this line of credit taken against your house is going to save you from the dire straits that you're in. And if the right person shows up saying it the right way with enough charisma and enough personality, it's easy to get you into things that it may take you years to realize that you have been fooled. And that is what has happened to this country. A country that was already hurting, a group of people that already felt disenfranchised, that already felt left behind, largely around issues of education. Because if you look at Trump supporters, what they resent most about liberals is education.
Just to chime in, they're wrapping up the inauguration now. Biden is leaving with his
Yeah,
wife.
looks like they're wrapping up. So just a couple of minutes we want to spend on what's next, at least for the rest of the day today, because we can't predict what's going to happen over the next 4 years. So what do you think that the rest of the day, what are you expecting him to do?
He has a list of executive orders that he said he's going to sign. So that
was the first
that
thing,
was published.
Yeah, and they're not having the same kind of when the Obama inauguration or even Dump's inauguration, they had a lot. Usually inauguration day, they have a lot of balls, a lot of dinners, a lot of parties. This year, obviously because of COVID, all of that, a lot of that's been canceled. But I think they are still supposed to have some follow-up virtual events. So
there are a bunch of virtual events, but Biden has already said that the first thing that he and Kamala are doing is they're going back to the Oval Office this afternoon, and he's going to sign a series of executive orders.
Right?
To reverse some of the things that Trump has done immediately.
So what's this thing with impeachment? Can they impeach a president after he's already out of office?
He's already been impeached.
Yeah,
it's going to happen in conviction.
Yeah, they can. And the reason is, I'm telling you, this is good for conservatives. Conservative, because they can have a leadership which will stand for the values. His impeachment is not going to destroy the Republican Party or the conservative values. People who stand for those values, they can secure those values from a person who is not genuinely a believer in those values and give it to somebody who really
Republican. I would argue that the Republican Party has already taken a serious hit, because what Trump has done over the last 5 years really, is he has radicalized a significant portion of the base who I don't think will be receptive to someone who comes along and tries to espouse actual traditional conservative Republican values. What those people who marched on the Capitol two Wednesdays ago, and folks who think like them, that's what they want. That's why somebody like Senator Hawley is increasingly popular among Republicans. They want that. That's not going to. That's not going to get you the kind of widespread national support that you need moving forward, because not only did Trump radicalize a portion of his base, but I think he has also energized a portion of the Democratic, liberal, progressive base. Because if you see, Trump got 74 million votes, which would have been a record if not the 82 million votes that Biden got. Because I think what people saw over the last 4 years is how fragile our democracy is.
And also, I believe that over the if a new leadership doesn't come in Republican Party who insists on the values, the next person who comes in and leads will be somebody who can speak and think worse than even Trump.
Yeah, or be someone who's as cunning, more cunning than Trump, but is just as divisive and still holds those white nationalist views. You know, there'll just be a smarter version of Trump. And I think that's what someone like Josh Hawley is. But it's interesting to note that Mitch McConnell supposedly has 17 Republican senators who they're saying may be willing to vote to convict Donald Trump in the Senate trial for impeachment. And the reason that they can impeach him after he left office, Mr. England, is because the articles of impeachment were introduced while he was still in office. So now it's just going to trial. So they set the trial date for after he left.
I think that's unconstitutional. Or you say unconstitutional, though.
Okay.
There's some precedent for it, though. It's not there's precedent for it.
Yeah, but he's done. Just leave him alone. Like, he's gone. He's in the shadows. Okay, Trump. Okay, yeah. You guys still giving Trump? They still want to give Trump power by bringing him back in the media. Oh, we're going to impeach him. No, let him go.
But one of the things that impeachment can allow, if they actually convict him, which they didn't do the first time, because that's why he wasn't removed from office. But if they convict him, they can bar him from running for federal office ever again.
Which needs to happen.
And I totally support that. I think that
So
does need to happen.
so my thing is, now y'all just start preparing, because I'm going to run for 2024 because Trump got in. So anything is possible, man.
Listen, as long as you can convince us, you know, that you really believe in those values, I'll vote for you.
You're gonna have to sell a lot of beef patties to run this to get these.
Listen, look, England. Look, just give me a treasury job and tell me that you'll look the other way, you know, while I slide, you know, all I want is like 10, 20 million. That's all. I'm not greedy. And then, you know, we'll be good.
Listen, you know, get on the next bandwagon. Impossible Burgers. No more beef patties.
Yeah.
Beyond Burgers. Impossible Burgers.
And listen, while we have all these people online, I just want to do a shameless plug. Montague Cooking After Dark returns in February. I have a couple of big events coming up. I'm going to be cooking for the NJEA. I'm going to be cooking for Union County. A couple other things that are happening. We're going to be branding the cooking show.
Oh, that's what's up.
And all of that's going to be going on. So I've actually the month of January off so I can get myself prepared for all the things that are surrounding those efforts. And I'm also very excited. Hopefully, I don't expect that we'll be back in our building this year. That's just my opinion. Not basing that on any inside information, just my own thoughts. But I'm excited that we can continue to brand our efforts around cooking, around healthy eating, around economical shopping, around making our plates more colorful, more green, leaner, and more diverse. Efforts around embracing all the different food cultures that I think are represented in our school. I think that's an undervalued conversation that we have in our school. Depending on your interaction with the students, I know one thing Mr. England and I agree on, because we're both kind of out there with the kids, kind of in the streets, so to speak. We have a lot of culture that we can express with our students through food.
Right.
So and that leads to other conversations about culture. So I'm excited that when we get back in September, that we can bring that back into the building. Hopefully the brand will have grown by then.
Right.
And also looking forward to bringing in some, frankly, some big name celebrities, chefs, big name restaurant owners into our building in September so that they can introduce their culinary expertise to our students. And I think that's also going to go a long way to introducing our students to other ways that they can express themselves creatively and pursue jobs and careers in things that are probably that they're not thinking about.
I love this, man.
Yeah, the restaurant industry is it's a large, diverse industry, and there's so many jobs that our kids could be pursuing that would allow them to support themselves to, you know, in a really aggressive, economically sustainable way, but also supports our culture and their individual cultures as well. So I'm excited about doing that, and excited for February for some of the food that we're going to be cooking. And, you know, I know England can cook too. And if we can keep politics out of the conversation, I might even be willing to cook with them.
Listen,
man, politics is out.
You know, if you have a session on sous vide, count me in for that.
Yeah, so I mean, Dr. Salim, that's a prime example, because it's sous vide, and for people who are still on the line and listen, the concept of putting food in those plastic bags and boiling it, and cooking food that way, that's something that some of our students are familiar with because it's cultural to them, but other students have probably never seen or never heard of. And it's one of many ways that we can cook in ways that are healthier as we try to get our kids away from things like, frying foods and things like that are unhealthy and some of that saturated fat. So I'm excited to, it's what I've been working on kind of behind the scenes. And, I guess everything that we're doing now is behind the scenes because we're not physically together like we're used to being. But I've been working on that for a couple of months now, and I'm excited in February to debut some new content, and hopefully we'll be able to bring that into the school in September. So be on the lookout for that.
That's
Now
awesome
that's on
news. I love
that's
that.
on your Facebook, Montague, or is it Facebook and Instagram?
It will now be on Facebook and Instagram. So and a lot of this, unfortunately, we deal with this in our communities. It just comes down to money. So it costs money to have multiple cameras set up in my home, tripods and lighting and everything like that. Because when I first started doing this, it was really just me with my iPhone balanced on something, facing me while I was trying to cook, which didn't always present like the best angles or the best visual. And so trying to, build it up to a point where I have, all these tripods and all this other stuff in the apartment, all that stuff costs money. And, ain't nobody financing this right now.
Yeah.
You hope eventually get to the point where you can get some, some support for it, but it has taken an effort to build it up to that point, and to build a following and build people who are willing to sow into, what we're trying to do. So I'm excited to bring that to the fore in February.
Very nice.
Big things.
All right, I think, folks, we can, this is about time. It was a great conversation.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I enjoyed it, man.
There's Jennifer Lopez and
I must say she really sang really good today. She surprised me.
Obama, everybody's leaving. Everybody's
they're all leaving
people
now.
Giving a couple hugs.
So this was a great live conversation and live stream of the first inauguration. I think this is going to be a memorable session that we had at ATM. We never had anything like this before. I think we could take this show on the road, Dr. Salim. Sorry. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
And for those of you out there, let's make it clear, I am absolutely not a Trump supporter. I just do things intentionally to antagonize.
He just doesn't want to get beat up.
Yeah, I am not a Trump.
Get beat up.
I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not a Biden supporter. I'm a for us supporter, right? I'm for my people supporter. So anything that's for my people, that's what I'm supporting. So
there you go. Love you, man. You know that we love you.
Yep.
That's right. Love y'all too, man.
Yep.
I love you. So Biden is now leaving, I guess.
Yeah, he's going to the armored. Now it's interesting because they would have the presidential limo. I know they actually called that the Beast.
Trump have it in Florida.
Oh, he's got it in Florida.
Yeah, he got it in Florida.
He took the limo with him to Florida.
Well, unless they cut his. Unless
Biden, that's
he must be watching this. Unless they cut his cable too.
Yeah.
Well, y'all know the folks down in Mar-a-Lago are suing because they don't want him in their community.
The first thing, the first thing they should do, they should put him on no-fly zone, no-fly list. What are they called? No-fly list?
No fly, yeah.
Yeah, that's the first thing they should do.
So listen, I guess
people can believe what they want, but it's a problem when your neighbors are willing to go to court because they don't want to live around you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's hard.
That's
okay.
hard.
Oh, this is Pence. Pence is going in the
Pence
jacked up SUV. Okay. Oh,
so they're sending him off first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Coming after this.
Yeah, we gotta pray for their security too, though, man. Cause
ain't nobody messing with Mike Pence.
Hey, you never know, man. Hey, Trump supporters are some serious people. They got in the house, right?
You're right about that.
They got in the house.
They might if they hold
look at that.
Grudge.
No, one thing I like. Look at what he did. He's a real man.
He put his wife in a.
Please.
He escorted the lady on her side first, and then he turned around and came to sit, on the other side.
That's all for show. He doesn't do that in real life.
Man, I do it for my woman.
I don't support those antiquated views of masculinity and femininity.
Come on,
Look,
man.
look, I got a simple answer to that. Dr. Salim, he didn't escort Lady Liberty, so he didn't. You know,
That's right. Bye bye.
So,
Bye.
he didn't open and close the door for Lady Liberty.
Because the same man who just walked around and did that, and that is a very, you know, magnanimous and chivalrous thing to do. He's also the same person who said he didn't believe in allowing his wife to be alone in rooms with men, even like for like business or to work. So whenever she was somewhere, he had to be present. So she can't conduct a meeting without him present.
Wow.
I mean, that's ridiculous. You know, is it still being recorded?
Yeah. I think we like we're jumping. We way jumped the shark. We just like
yo, England, I ain't gonna lie. I was about to say something.
Hold up.
Listen, stop the recording. I was about to say something.
Look, Montague, I hope we all don't get memos in our inboxes.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Hey,
I think that's about it. What do you think? You know, I think we call it a day. Thank you very much. This was a fantastic conversation.
Listen, I love the conversation. Love being on here with all you guys. England, you know,
absolutely,
much
man.
love. Listen, even though
And Montague, congrats on that, man. I'm excited for that. For Mark. Yeah.
Hugs for Montague, man. Hugs for Montague.
Yeah, and Salim.
I need a hug, and I need well, again, we still recording, so I need Jesus. What I need. How about that? I need Jesus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
we all do, man. So y'all take care. Dr. Salim, thanks for having us here, man.
Thank you very much, man. You know, you guys are the best.
I'm out.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.